Good morning. You are listening to Hate the Player, Not the Game on the KCOU.FM sports stream. I am your host, Lucas Owens. We got a packed show for you. Today, American Athletic Conference action, SMU and Memphis playing on College Game Day. And, of course, the Sharks really struggling, which I am not doing too good about. But, let's just get right into it with some American Athletic Conference recap. The most exciting group of 12 teams with barely any history in sports. So, of course, big game, big team. Number 16, SMU went to TD-ECU Stadium to face the Houston Cougars. SMU ended up winning on a chilly Thursday night, 34-31. Another close call for the Mustangs. Had a few of those this year. Of course, this game, Tulsa, was definitely a close call. Pretty close game with TCU, too. Mustangs ended up pulling it out. Shane Buechele, their quarterback, didn't have the best game of his life, but just did enough to get the job done. And, I mean, it says something that this isn't the best game for him this year, because he had 203 yards and 2 touchdowns with 1 interception, which, if you're any other quarterback, it's perfectly fine. But for Shane Buechele, that honestly feels like not a good game, because he's Shane Buechele. He's doing so good. But the real story of the night, Houston's backup quarterback for De'Aaron King, who's now redshirting this year, Clayton Tune, really had his way with the SMU defense all night. 407 yards and 2 touchdowns with 1 interception. So definitely the best performance in Tune's short career so far as Houston's quarterback, but a great performance by Tune there. But the real spark that SMU needed, Xavier Jones. Xavier Jones has kind of been a really big force for SMU as their running back this year. He had 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. So just a great performance by him there. So, SMU's defense definitely needs to show some improvement. To give up 407 yards to a backup, even if he's having like the best game ever, is not where you want to be if you want to go undefeated. I mean, SMU, of course, 8-0 right now, but to get to 9-0 and beat Memphis next week, their defense is going to have to put in a whole lot of work. Getting now into the Saturday slates of game, we had Tulane at Navy. This ended up being a 41-38 Navy victory. The late field goal, like as time expired, helped the midshipmen keep themselves at 1 loss. But this was a very fun game to watch. At the beginning, during the first half, it looked like Tulane wasn't really going to have a shot. But then they ended up really battling very well in the second half. Definitely got that huge comeback going. But Navy did a really good job stopping the Tulane running attack, which, of course, Tulane's running attack really works in that the running attack in their spread option offense really opens up for passing. So if you stop one, you kind of stop both. So they're 187 yards rushing. You don't win many football games as a spread option team with only 187 yards rushing. So honestly, that Tulane came that close was pretty impressive. But Navy themselves were 385. Of course, Navy just being a simple triple option. And I say simple in a way that's not the spread option, because the triple option is also an insanely hard offense to run. But they rushed 385 yards themselves. So definitely a good performance rushing from them. But Malcolm Perry just had a better game passing this week. So really just proving people wrong. Just continuing to be the quarterback of Navy's future. Just doing a great job out there, improving. Navy really has a shot of making a run of things if Memphis loses the game somewhere. Of course, both teams have one loss in the American. Navy's loss is to Memphis, so Memphis has that tiebreaker. But Memphis might lose a game at some point too, especially this week as they host SMU. But basically the American Athletic Conference West right now. The three-team race between Memphis, SMU, and Navy. So pretty much Navy just has to win out. I mean, really beat SMU, and they have a really good chance of going to the conference championship because Memphis, if they lose to SMU, will have 2 losses. So will not be able to use that tiebreaker. But yeah, Navy getting bowl eligibility this week, really good opportunity for them, especially last year, kind of a rougher year. And Notre Dame's coming up. Notre Dame didn't have the best game, as we'll get to later, against Michigan this week, so that should be a fun game to watch in South Bend. All right, so here's what you've all been waiting for. Uconn at UMass. And Uconn won this game 56-35, so really just sound the alarms. Uconn actually won a game. Pretty surprising. They got their second win of the year. First win was over SCS Wagner, who they beat 24-21, which not really the best team to only beat by a field goal. But yeah, UMass kind of proved that that they really couldn't run with UConn, but UConn had themselves quite the game. Jax Regalis, their quarterback, got 198 yards and 1 touchdown. I mean, not the best performance, but enough to win against a not so good UMass teams. But UConn, their second win of the season. Don't expect too many more wins coming the Huskies' way, though. I don't think they have a single shot of winning a game for the rest of the year. Just total uphill battle for them. Like, you still haven't faced... Well, they faced UCF. Don't believe they faced Cincy yet. So, just some tough games coming up for them. All right, and getting on to the fourth game of the American Athletic Conference action, USF, beat ECU 45-20 in ECU's house. So Cronkite for the Bulls got 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. Definitely a big factor in that win. Jason McLeod, their quarterback, he had another big game where he didn't really have a fantastic performance, but he just, like other quarterbacks in the American Athletic this week, just did enough to get themselves that win. He went 9 for 12 with 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, considering that he only had 9 completions, and to go, I mean, first of all, 3 for 4 for passing, pretty good for a first-year quarterback, and 102 yards for over that. That's over 10 yards of completion, but definitely a good performance from him. Holden Owlers, the ECU quarterback, did really have a rough game. He's been having a few good games in a row, but definitely had a rough one this week against the USF defense. Yeah, just really should have improved. So ECU really finds themselves in a difficult spot with a tough schedule coming up. If they would have won this game, they would have been right on the path to bowl eligibility. But now that they lost this one, unless they pull an upset somewhere, I just really don't see it for the Pirates. But what I really want to talk about with this game is usually USF this year has kind of showed themselves to be an emotional team. And wherever the momentum goes, they tend to kind of stick with that and roll with that for the whole game. So, pretty surprising, kind of a reversal of fortunes for the USF Bulls in a good way, because ECU returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and usually that would just indicate downward spiral all the way for the Bulls, but ended up coming back and having a pretty dominating win. So yeah, let's get on to the fifth game of the American Athletic Conference. Memphis defeated Tulsa in Oklahoma 42-41. Excuse me. Zach Smith, the Tulsa quarterback, had a great day with 309 yards and 1 touchdown. Brady White has an average for him performance with just 277 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell carried the Tigers 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. Shamari Brooks, a Tulsa running back, had a fantastic day. 156 yards and 1 touchdown for him. But just a few key mistakes really cost Tulsa the game. Just 2 fumbles, some little defensive miscues, and Jacob Rainey, who's been a little inconsistent as their quarterback, going for 2 for 5 for kicking. So just another tough loss for Tulsa. Of course, had that really tough loss against SMU where they were leading going into the fourth by a big margin and just kind of gave it up all of a sudden. But definitely a little bit of a tougher one here, losing by 1 against Memphis in Oklahoma. But I think I gotta say Tulsa might indeed be the best 2-6 team in the history of the American Athletic Conference. For this team to not go bowling is really shocking, but just have had a tough go of things. Really tough season for the Golden Hurricane. All right, and now we got our last game, the nightcap to the American Athletic Conference action. UCF destroys Temple 63-21 in the city of not so brotherly love. Yes, they beat them that badly in the Link, which is a little bit surprising, not going to lie. So, just a big win for the UCF Knights. Of course, it had a rough few weeks with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh earlier in the season. Some tough losses there, really close, tough losses. So to get this win, really big for the Knights. Temple no longer controls their own destiny, though, now, with 2 losses. So no matter what, Cincinnati doesn't have a loss in the AAC yet. So they're the only ones who control their own destiny in the East. Even if Temple beats them, then they will not control their own destiny, and it will go to a three-way tiebreaker. But Otis Anderson for the Knights had quite a day, 205 yards rushing. So just a fantastic performance from him there. Russo was held to 199 yards and 2 touchdowns with 2 interceptions, which just really isn't what you're expecting from Russo at this point. Russo had such a good freshman campaign last year. That's a little shocking to lose like that. But Temple rushing attack was really just neutralized all game. Just not a very good performance from the Owls there. And again, just following the string of American Conference quarterbacks, just doing barely enough to win. Dylan Gabriel just keeps improving as the freshman quarterback for the Knights, but still just got 213 yards and 3 touchdowns. So definitely going to start showing improvement. But should be a very interesting few matchups coming up for the freshman quarterback and the heir apparent to Mackenzie Milton when he hopefully returns next year for the Knights. But of course, the big news in American Conference action, as I'm sure a few of my friends from Memphis will be very happy, College Game Day is heading to Memphis for some sweet old Memphis barbecue. SMU at Memphis, going to be a incredibly good game. Probably the biggest game in the American Athletic Conference this year, maybe outside of UCF Cincinnati. I would still probably put this ahead of that, to be honest. This game probably going to decide the West if Navy ends up losing to SMU, but should be another really, really fun week of American Conference play coming up. Well, that is all I have for the American Athletic Conference, and I am going to head off to break. You are listening to Hate the Player, Not the Game on KCOU.FM Sports Stream. And welcome back to Hate the Player, Not the Game on KCOU.FM. I am Lucas Owens, and now getting into Section 2. Let's talk about the rest of college football. A pretty packed in terms of upsets week in the world of college football. So Oklahoma upset on the road at Kansas State. Kansas State just had a Absolutely beautiful game. They held Jalen Hurts to just one touchdown. So not the best performance by Jalen Hurts there. Of course, I mean, one touchdown passing. I believe he got two rushing. But still, just a pretty tough game for Oklahoma. Their rushing attack as well only got 102 yards as a complete unit. But the rushing attack for the Wildcats, just absolutely lethal. Just Skylar Thompson, especially, 4 rushing touchdowns against an Oklahoma team this year, kind of redoing the map. Just have been a fairly good defense. So just a perfect storm for an upset of a really good team. Just did not work out for the Sooners Saturday. But LSU as well had a big win over the Auburn Tigers in 2 of the 3 Tigers in the SEC matchup. 23-20. Joe Burrow, fantastic day, 321 yards. Just a good win for LSU against a top 10 team. Auburn really showing themselves to be an improved team this year. So far, just really, LSU looks to be the team to be, even probably over Alabama. I don't think either of those teams will have a loss by the time they face in Tuscaloosa, I believe, in a few weeks. So just will be a interesting and fantastic matchup there. Going out to the west, out to where I'm from, Utah dominated Cal 35-0. So Utah, of course, that one loss at USC, but outside of that, have really kind of been proven that's a fluke. The Utes are just incredible this year. But Tyler Huntley, their quarterback, really just this late into his career at Utah, just being an absolute force for the Utes. I mean, as well as that defense. Let's give that defense some credit. Cal this year is a pretty explosive team. So to win like that over Cal is a very good sign for the Utes as the season goes on. Look for them maybe even to come in with just one loss to that Pac-12 championship game. They go into one loss against Oregon, who also has one loss. That should be a very fun matchup at Levi Stadium. And of course some breaking news here. Texas is not back. Texas, 3rd loss of their season this week. Lost to TCU by 10. Just not, like, after last season with how Texas looked against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl especially, just kind of shocking for Texas not to play that well. But, yeah, just a loss by 10 to TCU. Not really a good sign for the Longhorns. A lot to see if they end up finding their way into a New Year's Six Bowl this year. I'm starting to kind of doubt that. I mean, I think if they stay with 3 losses, they do have a fantastic chance, but we'll just have to see. And then next game up, Notre Dame got themselves blown out by Michigan. Just not really even close at all. So just kind of revenge for last year's game, of course, where the Fighting Irish beat the Wolverines in South Bend. Just kind of the opposite happened in the in Arbor. Excuse me, forgot where Michigan was for a second. But a pretty big statement win for Michigan, and especially the Big Ten, just for them to get that. Michigan looking like they have a pretty good chance of winning all of their games for the rest of the year. Of course, they still have to play Ohio State, so we're going to have to see how that goes for the Wolverines. I have a prediction that it is not going to go well with how Ohio State has been playing this year, not really even having close matchups to any teams. But and then, of course, a team near and dear to my heart as they are in my hometown, San Jose State, took down Army and West Point, another revenge game. I was actually there to watch the triple option Army Knights take down San Jose State and Levi Stadium last year. San Jose State just a completely different team, though, because they did not have a good game at all against the Knights. Just really a blowout there. So just a really good win for the Spartans here. A really good statement win, too, after what happened last year. Just a radical shift in program. To be able to face a team like Army 2 years in a row really shows that for the Spartans. Just turning it around. And they, of course, find themselves back at 500, 4-4. Just need to win 2 more games to get bowl eligible. That would be a huge sign of things turning for the San Jose State Spartans program. But yeah, now let's get into Section 3. Another team in San Jose. This team having a lot rougher go of things and really making me struggle. I, of course, am talking about the San Jose Sharks, where I have no idea what's going on, just cannot find ways to win on a consistent basis. Of course, last week on Tuesday, about 12 hours, give or take, not 12 hours, 6 hours, give or take, after the show, lost their second straight to Buffalo as part of that home-and-home weird set of games. Then they finally beat a team, and the Canadians showed a really strong performance there. But lost 2 straight again. Toronto for Patrick Marleau's homecoming, which is a little bit shocking. And Ottawa Senators, which might even be more shocking. Just this team, Canada trip, didn't really go well, going to be honest. 1-2. Of course, this road trip, they are 1-3 so far. But, yeah, just kind of need to get out of that country above us right now. Not really going well. So the goalie play really has kind of left a lot to be desired, giving up a lot of goals per game. They haven't really almost decided. They've given Jones more matchups than Aaron Dell this year, but still just really have not stuck with one goalie all year, which they need to do to show confidence in one of them and really let themselves get settled in. Goalie is just a huge mental position. And if they can get a guy like Martin Jones hot like he did in the playoffs last year and just get all of the confidence in the role to him, he's going to be a good goalie. But, of course, just not really happening so far. But they're 7th in the Pacific Division right now. At this point of the season, not really okay for the San Jose Sharks. I mean, last year, of course, they got 2nd. Year before, they got 3rd. But just need to turn it around. I believe they can do it with all of the talent they have, but they just need to start really gelling as a team. So there's a lot of individual players having really good games, like Evander Kane having a good game. Logan Couture as captain has been having a solid start. Eric Carlson's been playing some really good defense so far, but just need to, as a team, really get it together. They're going to have a chance tonight, though. Not luckily, it is against the incredibly good Boston Bruins in Boston. So, a really tough place to play. But for the Sharks, as I've kind of watched them this year, they just need to have a good start and take advantage of penalties. Like with their first goal in Ottawa the other night, they got Ottawa to give them a 2-man advantage and just got the puck right in. So, of course, gonna need to keep doing that. And then the really shining spot for the Sharks this year, actually, a good sign with their defense, has been their penalty kill. It's been one of the top in the NHL, so that really needs to just keep working itself for the San Jose Sharks, and I think things will be all right at some point for them. But, yeah, that is all for now. I will be heading to break. You are listening to Hate the Player, Not the Game on KCOU.FM. After the break, I will be breaking down what's happening with the standings in the rest of the NHL. Thank you for listening. welcome back to Hate the Player, Not the Game on KCOU.FM Sports Stream. Now it is time to get into the next section. Let's get into the rest of the NHL. A very interesting 2 weeks. Going to be a little short this week, but Buffalo still leading the Atlantic somehow. A little shocking. The Sabres have been pretty dominant so far, to be honest. It's just it's not really that well, but Boston has certainly done their part in catching up. Of course, as said before, got a big game against the San Jose Sharks, facing a Western Conference good team, hopefully. And Tampa Bay, it's still kind of on their hangover from last year's exit. Just probably will gonna pick it up in a big way soon, but just have not been doing their part and playing the best so far this year. Let's get out to the Metropolitan. Washington, healthy lead. As expected, really. Ovechkin, the rest of those guys shouldn't really be surprised that the Capitals are doing this well. Probably will sustain that success until the playoffs, and then once the playoffs come, just have to see what happens. And then Colorado's leading the Central. That's certainly a big surprise. The youth finally doing a good job of excelling with guys like Makar. Makar is really in his first season, just doing absolutely insane. But should be an absolute force this year. I would not give any team a pass over the Avalanche. Last year they went to 7 games with a really good San Jose Sharks team, a hot San Jose Sharks team. So I would not give any doubt that the Avalanche should be a threat to anybody this year. And then rounding things out, Edmonton's leading the Pacific. Nothing makes sense anymore. Ducks also in the run for the Pacific. So I just have nothing to say anymore, to be honest. I've been confused for a while. I will continue being confused until something changes. Vegas Golden Knights still being productive there, but just nothing makes sense anymore. All right. Now to stop making me sad, let's get into the NBA. So, start of the NBA season happened last week. Really packed week of sports last week, indeed. Really everything's going on right now. But it's been a crazy start. Warriors are 0-2, just not really playing in a productive way. D'Angelo Russell needs some time to fit himself into the lineup. I don't really know what's happening to Warriors right now. They'll pick it up at some point, but right now not playing the best. The Nets also struggling. Only one loss, 1-4 against the Knicks. Knicks still a young team, an improving team, but that's a little shocking. And they lost to the Memphis Grizzlies in overtime. That's the Grizzlies' only win this season. So, just a tough go of things for Kyrie Irving's start in Brooklyn. But things will turn themselves eventually. The Nets are too good of a team to really let themselves get into any kind of hole. And the Los Angeles Clippers really have been the story of the NBA season so far this year, which I'm kind of shocked people are surprised by that, because the Clippers I had as probably my preseason favorite to win the championship. So I don't know why people are surprised by this, but just have had an astounding level of defensive play all around. When you have guys like Patrick Beverley and Lou Williams, and then you add Kawhi Leonard's already one of the best two-way players in the NBA, but when you add him to a team like the Clippers, you're going to see probably one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, like ever. I would say they're definitely the best this year, but they don't even have Paul George back yet. It's even more shocking thing. To not have Paul George there, just kind of odd. But yeah, Kawhi just getting. I did not really expect Kawhi to fit in this quickly, but it just says something about his style of play with teams that he really has. So Yeah, that culture of hard work just that permeates through the Clippers organization, and that's something that Kawhi believes himself, as we've seen many, many times before. So, looking like he's really into that. Um, their loss to the Suns does not really make much sense, but Phoenix has been pretty hot to start this season. Of course, DeAndre Ayton's going to be out for a while, but every team has a really slip-up, so Clippers will, I'm sure, find a way to get over that one single loss. And again, they're still probably my favorite to win the title at this point in the year. That win over the Lakers on opening night really just cemented themselves as a fantastic team that I would pick to just steamroll their way through the West. I think they'll have tough times with teams like Utah, Denver, and especially that team in the other locker room in the Staples Center, the Los Angeles Lakers. But I don't see a team being a better favorite to win the title this year. But getting on to some other teams right now, the Denver Nuggets. They beat both the Trailblazers and the surging Phoenix Suns. So got some revenge for that second round exit in the playoffs last year and beating a team that really has been on a hot streak so far this year. Just Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray kind of already in mid-season form almost. Just the season feels like it started months ago for those guys. So it never really feel like they've missed a beat. So just a really strong showing by the Denver Nuggets so far. And finally, we're of course going to get to the LeBron and Anthony Davis-led Los Angeles Lakers, the other team in the locker room in the Staples Center. So the low-scoring win over the Jazz, really a good sign for them. Jazz, of course, having so many offensive weapons while also having a defensive force like Rudy Gobert. For the Lakers to win like that, a good sign of things to come for them. That loss to the Clippers on opening night has to hurt. I think it was technically a Clippers home game, but really, like, that venue was mostly Lakers fans. Clippers still kind of the secondary team in the Los Angeles market, but Clippers acted like they didn't even see any fans. It was just total control of that game. Of course, you got Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis, two really good bigs that are kind of still getting used to that roster. That's the thing with the Lakers. They really did not keep that many players from last year. I believe they kept, you have LeBron and Rondo and maybe one other person, Alex Caruso. That's who I'm forgetting. They definitely kept Caruso. But just like nothing compares itself to real game experience. So as they get going, I think things will start to change for the Lakers in a good way and really start running things. But then you have to watch out for when does LeBron and Anthony Davis start doing some load management. Because if they start doing some load management, I don't really see a way for the other Clippers in such a other Lakers, in a top-heavy team to find a way to win very many games. So I think a lot of this depends on those two's health and how much the other players on the team pick up the slack. But that is all I have for the NBA. We'll certainly talk about it as the season keeps going along. Should be a very, very fun season for the NBA. I have no idea who's going to win the championship. I think out of the East right now, I would probably take the 76ers or the Bucks. I think Giannis is going to have another big year, especially with that contract coming up to terms in Milwaukee soon. Going to want to win a championship or at least get to the finals. And I think you have the 76ers really as the other team to beat. Al Horford really just adjusting immediately too, so should be fun to watch. And then in the West, I think it's probably going to be the Nuggets or the Clippers or the Lakers are the three teams I would have to come out of there. I think the Warriors are going to take a year off without Klay Thompson. So should be tough for them, but D'Angelo Russell adjusting back, you never know. We'll have to see as this season starts to go along. Even the Utah Jazz can probably find themselves a way to get to that NBA Finals at some point. I mean, and I don't want to sleep on the Trailblazers. Excuse me, they've been pretty good the past few years. Of course, getting to the Western Conference Finals last year before getting swept by the Warriors, but gonna be a very, very tough season for any team to come out of that Western Conference. But at this point, just have no idea. Welcome back for the final short segment before I have to run out of here on Hate the Player, Not the Game. World Series update. Washington Nationals, really good first few games. Got to Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander. So, had a good start to the game season series in Houston. But everything just came crashing down completely when the series returned to Washington. 3 games that were not even very close for the Nationals just did not go their way when the series returned to Washington for like the first time in 100 years or something. I mean, considering that the Nationals weren't even a team 20 years ago, but still, just a tough performance by the Nats there. But now they just need a huge turnaround to win the series. I mean, of course, backs against the wall. 1 loss and they go home, but 2 wins and they won the series. So it returns to Houston tonight. Probably the best thing to happen to the Nationals. They played a lot better in Houston, and the way the series has been going with the road team winning every game, it should be good for them. But it's a really good chance for them to turn the series on its head in Game 6, and then you have all of the momentum going into Game 7. So it should be very good for them. Steven Strasburg is on the mound for the Nats tonight. Really good performance in Game 2 of this series. So he's who you want out there at this point. Patrick Corbin and Anibal Sanchez probably going to find themselves coming out of the bullpen at some point. Will need themselves kind of do something out of there to get the Nationals going. But right now, Justin Verlander, who they will be facing tonight for the Nationals to win, they just need to get to him. Just need to get to him early, get into that Astros bullpen, and then see what happens. While Steven Strasburg probably can do his best to neutralize that fantastic Astros lineup, it's really going to depend on the Nationals pitching, I believe. And then, of course, Game 7, don't want to look too far ahead here to tomorrow night if it indeed happens. Max Scherzer will hopefully be healthy. I understand he's been having a lot of pains just all around his body, but if you have him healthy for Game 7, there's nobody you'd rather have than Max Scherzer in that moment. Max Scherzer has just been the ace for the Nationals for so long, so just hope he's healthy because, honestly, that's what baseball deserves at this point. Nobody's better than Max Scherzer in big moments. So, yeah. So we'll have to see how this game and then possibly the game tomorrow goes. But as far as Hate the Player, Not the Game, it is over. So have a good rest of your day and rest of your week. Mizzou football on bye this week, so KCOU will not have the broadcast of that. But thank you for listening to Hate the Player, Not the Game on KCOU.FM Sports Stream.